So you have your Muse pages ready with your works, about page, whatever, and you have your hype document fairly ready. You now just need to know how to get everything together and how to put it onto your server. The first thing that you need to do is connect to your actual server. You do that with this document that you got after you signed up for the hosting. In order to connect to your server, you need to download a program that is called CyberDuck. In this blog post, I have a link for it. After installing and opening it, you click on the Open Connection button here, and you enter the login information. So, the server, the username, and the password. Make sure that with the password you really select the password and not accidentally a little bit further, because Google has the line break here and sometimes that's irritating for the programs. So what I usually do is I just double click on it, and for the server really make sure that you only select the name here. Then choose up here the SFTP file protocol. This makes sure that the connection to your server is faster and more secure. Then click on the Add to Keychain so you don't have to remember the password and you can log into your server anytime. Then you can hit the Connect button. Next we'll tell you that it detected an unknown fingerprint. This is just for security reasons. Say that you always trust it and hit Allow. Now you're connected to the server. By default you will have an index HTML file in here, but you can just select it and get rid of it by hitting the delete key. So the first thing that we want here is an actual folder for our Muse pages. And there I will just right click here, create a new folder, and I will call this one maybe Muse. The Muse pages will be imported into the Muse folder. We can then link it to the hype file, and then we can upload the hype file to the root of the server. By the way, navigating through the server is quite easy. You can either open up a folder like this, or you can double click it. To then go back, I usually use the drop down up here to go back to the root. Now let's take a look at how we can upload from Muse. For that, let me go to my website here. The homepage is empty and I have all my works listed over here. I will then go to File, Upload to FTP host. In here, I will then input the same login details. So the server, the username, and the password. I will tell it to store the credentials, so I don't have to remember the password and the login. I will go to the options and choose SFTP. Muse is sometimes a little bit specific, so you might not be able to connect to your server when you're on a public hotspot, for instance. So when you're in an internet cafe, sometimes it does not allow you to connect to the server because the connection is just not secure enough. So make sure that you upload from your home to do that. Then we click Next. Again, the same fingerprint pops up and we say, I trust the server, and hit OK. Now we just need to give it a specific name. Up here, we tell it the server again, and tell it that it should be in the folder called Muse. And down here, we again define that this should be uploaded into the folder called Muse. Down here, we then have two options. We can either say that you want to upload all the files or only modified files. The first time you upload, it doesn't make any difference which of these two options you choose. But if you change something in the Muse file, you can either say that only the modified files will be re-uploaded and replaced, or if you feel like Muse might have messed something up, rather say that you want to upload all the files again, and that way make sure that nothing got lost. So here I can keep it at the default of only modified files and hit OK. Now it will check on the server, export everything, and now it will start uploading all the images, pages, and scripts that are necessary for your Muse page. After the page is uploaded, it will open up. However, it will open up the index page, which is the first page of your Muse file here. Since there's nothing in there, you won't see anything. And that's fine. Just close this out. Now we can start connecting the pages that we have uploaded to Hype. We don't need Muse anymore. And we can see down here, if we double click on Muse and maybe refresh that folder, all the pages that Muse has uploaded. So we have the index page, the work 1, and the work 2. Notice that it has renamed the HTML files. So the files will always be called with lowercase letters. There are no spaces. They will always be replaced with minuses, and then we have the letters, the numbers here. So if I compare it, work 1 is now work -1 down here. Now we need to know the link to this later on to put it into Hype. But let's first see what we can do to add it to the actual Hype page. So here I have a very simple website. I have a couple of buttons here, and I have separate slides for each of my work pages. In order to add the work page, I will first need a rectangle. In the rectangle, I will make sure that I don't have any border. I will give it kind of the same size that I have here for my background, and I will make it the same size as the inner part of the website here, like this. Next, I need to make sure that this scales responsively. So here, I will make sure that it's pinned to all the sides and that it stretches. And I do want this box to stretch and not zoom the contents, because the contents are already zoomed by Muse, and I just need to make sure that the bounding box here is stretched. Now, in order to add your Muse page to this rectangle, we will first need to copy the iframe code. You can find that on my website, and it looks something like this. So you just select it from the website and hit Command-C to copy. Go back to Hype. Then you double click on the rectangle. You will see how it gets a blue outline. Then you scroll down here and you can see that you now have a little button here, kind of like a pen. When you click on it, you can then add HTML text or HTML code to the rectangle that we have here. Right now this code is invalid because I don't have an actual link here. To get this link, you go back to CyberDuck, right click on the link that you want to get, go to copy URL and HTTP URL. Then you go back to Hype, click on here again, and replace the link here. And immediately we can see how it added the page right inside here. Now let's see how this is going. When I'm on my main page, I open it up, I can click here, and I'm switching to my next site in Hype. Now, in order to go backwards, I obviously need a back button. We cannot add that in Muse, because the Muse page does not know anything. It's just there, it's being loaded, but it has no knowledge of where it is. So inside of Muse, we could not hit a back button to go back. We have to add that one in Hype. The nice thing is that this way we can also create the back button, for instance in the bottom left corner, and it will always be pinned to the bottom left corner since the scroll of the Muse page is completely independent from the rest of the Hype page. So here I could create some text, maybe call it back, give it a matching font here, and place it in the bottom left corner, and make sure that it's also pinned to the bottom left corner. On this one here, I can then say on click, I want to jump to scene, and don't be fooled. There are things that are called next scene and previous scene. However, these ones refer to the order that we have listed down here. So you could have buttons that say go to the next work, and the next work will then be the next work, and then the next one. But this does not refer to the page that you have been on previously. So if I'm on work 3, for instance, and I say go to previous page, we'll go over here. So if I want to jump to the main page, I have to tell it specifically to jump to the main page. Here we then have different transitions. You can test them out and see how you like them, but I usually just stick to a crossfade. Over here, something fairly short, like 0.3 seconds. And that is it. So let me preview this again. I can go to the site, I can scroll through, and I can see how I always have the back button here. And when I click, I fade back to my menu. Now, let me do that for the work too. Here, it's fairly simple to adjust. I already have my elements here, so I copy them, go to my work 2, and I paste it over. The back button should still have the functionality to go back, and in that rectangle, I only need to update my link. So I go back to CyberDuck. This time I wanted to link to work 2. I right-click, copy URL, HTTP URL, double-click on it, click on the button down here, and replace link. Voila. Now, on this page here, I have actually added a video. So here, everything works fine, everything scales the way that I would expect it to, and I can play it back. I could even go to full screen, no issue there. But, as you can hear, there's sound. And when I go back, there is still sound. So, something needs to be fixed there. And that is something that you will also find on my website. It's a little bit of code, which is down here. So let's copy this. Then, on each page where you have a video, you want to go to the scene, to the on-scene unload, click on the plus, run JavaScript, and create a new JavaScript function. In here, let's call it iframe fix. Then you just paste the code in here, and that's it. What this will do is, it will force this frame to be reloaded as soon as we leave the page. By reloading the frame, we make sure that the video stops. So, let's test this. It plays back. We do have some sound. And we can click on back. And now the sound is gone. Alright. Next, we want to actually export this in order to upload it. So in Muse, we can just tell Muse where it should upload. In Hype, we don't have that functionality. There we need to export it and upload it manually. So we go to File, Export as HTML, and Folder. We ignore the warnings since they mainly apply to older versions of Internet Explorer or older versions of Firefox. Then we hit Export. And here, the only thing that we want to take care of is that we call it index. The reason is that the browser by default opens up the index file if no other file is specified. So if you open up your domain name, in my case it's works.any.green, then the browser does not know what it should open because we have not told him which file should be opened. So it will go to the default, and the default is always called index.html. So here when we export, we make sure that it's called index, and I suggest creating an enclosing folder because we will get actually two things when we export this. So we hit save, and I can see how I have my index folder here. When I double click it, I can see that I have the index file, which is fairly small because all the magic from Hype happens within this folder. And in here we have all the scripts that define our thing, as well as all the images that we have imported. Now these are the two files that we want to upload. So here, let's go back to CyberDuck, make sure that we are in the root, and then you just click and drag the index and the resources folder, drag it over, and it will upload. As soon as this is uploaded, we can test this. So let's go to the website, which is works.any.green. I can click on one, and I'm over here. I go back, on 2, I have the video, and the video sound stops when I go back.